Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Circa Sports. Circa Sports is back with their Circa Survivor and Circa Millions contests. $14 million is up for grabs. Get all the details at circasports.com.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old-fashioned football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old-fashioned football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you're listening to, this is JMark. You can find me on Twitter at JMark Football. We got a very important episode to talk to you about today. But before I get to that, I want to bring in my co-host on the pod and in life. You can find her on Twitter at JMark's Wifey. You can call her Mir. Mir, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Justin. It's been a crazy week, crazy weekend.
It has been crazy.
But I'm doing great.
We apologize for being a day late and $1 short, but we are here.
Kids wear you out on top of all of the responsibilities that we put off for kids over the weekend.
Right.
I think I am today. What is today? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
I am just now feeling back to like 100% after the weekend.
I still feel exhausted myself, but that's just me.
And we had a lot of fun. We
did.
had our niece and nephew.
Took them to the Science Center.
Yes, the Science Center of Iowa, where we all learned that 1 year on Uranus is 84 Earth years. Funny to us. It will be funny to Aiden, and he'll use that bit of information in a couple more years, probably.
He will. 1 year on Uranus. Yeah, I learned about the planets. Also learned that apparently you build a better rocket than I do, paper rocket.
Yes.
So
they had
kudos
a
to you.
rocket exhibit. You built your own rocket and launched it. Aiden and I were on a team, and our rocket, the whole time we're building it, because he was on my team and not Uncle Justin's team, he's like, Uncle Justin's rocket is going to be better because everything Uncle Justin does is like gold. Everything you touch is gold. Everything you do is 100% perfection to him. And I'm building this amazing rocket with him. And he's just saying, Uncle Justin's is going to win. Uncle Justin's rocket is going to win. Our rocket won.
Now, I don't want to blame our 3-year-old niece, but her creative input was just not very good. And she made some alterations that did harm our rocket's flight efficiency, as in mushing the tip of the rocket a little bit. But
Did you not see the tip of our rocket?
Miranda, this is the excuse I'm using for losing. I would never blame Toby, but it's the excuse I'm using to blame of why I lost to you.
But I'm just saying, it's not that. That's not the reason.
Okay. All right. Hey,
Anyway.
it's July. Can you believe it's July?
It's not just July. It's almost mid-July.
Yeah. Meaning that drafts will probably be getting scheduled. Now, you might not draft in July, but there's going to be conversation of what week do we want to do it in August.
We're getting emails already about keepers in several of our leagues.
Yeah.
We haven't have we sent ours out, Justin?
I sent the spreadsheet out. We
Okay.
have not demanded keepers yet. No.
No, we're not demanding yet, but now is when your league owners, which we run a league together, but if we're being honest, Justin does the behind the scenes work on it.
Thank you.
You keep track of our spreadsheet and the players for people, but you should be getting, if you're in those keeper leagues, you should be getting those spreadsheets, or at least getting communicated to start thinking about your keepers.
In fact, that's what we're going to talk about next week. How to determine who to keep and for how long if you're in a league like ours that lets you keep them for multiple years. We're going to kind of be breaking that down, and we're going to go down our rosters kind of and say like why we're planning
Which
on.
I kind of don't like.
I know you don't, but it's okay.
Like,
It's the
not
nature
because I don't
of
want
the
to share
biz.
with our listeners, but because some of our listeners are in our league and it's giving them insight or information. Because if I knew what you were going to keep, it might influence what I keep. Or if I know what
for
players
sure.
of yours are going to hit the market.
Well, this is all going to be, we're thinking about keeping this person or that person.
Okay.
Nothing is decided. It's that we're thinking. We'll do it that way.
I can just imagine Nick Fortune every time he listens to us just taking notes, specifically on how to ruin me. But that's just...
I can see it now. Yeah, we got plenty of fantasy football stuff left leading up to the season, especially getting you ready for your auction drafts like we're going to today. We got a lot of whiskey stuff coming up, too.
We do.
Starting tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. We've been excited about this one for a while. We will have 10th Mountain Whiskey on the show with us. We'll be releasing a whiskey, instead of Whiskey Wednesday, a
Thirsty
Thursday, Whiskey Thursday. That will be fun.
Whiskey any day of the week is okay in my book. But yeah, that will be fun. We're working on planning with the Foundry for Foundry Part 2. If you remember our first episode with them, if you don't, go back and listen to it because it was great. And then Luke from Ace Spirits, we're going to be getting him scheduled at some point in July or August. He was nice enough to contribute that bottle, which the winner, Danny, did not get it today, but did get the notification from UPS that they tried to make a delivery.
What is Danny doing?
Well, she complained that they didn't knock. However, she also said she has a sign on her door that says something of like remote worker do not knock. so they just left
Don't you
the
think
sticker.
if she knew it was going to be delivered today, she should have...
Well, she didn't. No.
Okay.
She, in fact, couldn't figure out what it was. She said because I was letting her know if you haven't gotten it, by end of this week, let me know. I'll do a follow-up, all that stuff. And apparently she said she had asked her dad and her son what the heck they ordered that was getting delivered that had to be signed for. And I said, well, it's probably the whiskey then. And then she was like, oh, yeah, duh. So mystery solved.
Hopefully she takes that do not knock sign down tomorrow and she pays attention.
Right, exactly. So, all right, before we keep going, what are we drinking today?
Well, Justin, we are drinking Penelope Bourbon Barrel Strength Toasted Series, and there's more. This is the Rocky Mountain Select that we got in Colorado.
Yes, I'm excited about this one. I've heard a lot about Penelope's Toasted Series, and then to get the Barrel Strength and the Limited Rocky Mountain Series. We'll probably never get this bottle again.
Probably not.
Unless we go back to Colorado and buy it. Not because I'm not saying, oh, this isn't good. We haven't actually tried it on its own yet.
It's a regional, you
Yeah.
have to be...
allocated bottle.
Yes.
But I'm very excited about it. And do you know what else I'm excited about?
What are you excited about, Justin?
The Circus Sports Contest. Circa Millions and Circa Survivor are back. 14 million in guaranteed prizes are up for grabs. Circa Millions is just 5 NFL picks against the spread each week. The Circa Survivor is just a different money line winner each week. Enter in Vegas, but play from anywhere. Sports Gambling Podcast will be out there the last weekend in August. I apologize, we will not be. We're already traveling 3 weeks in August. We are not going to be going to Vegas, unfortunately. Circusports.com has all the details. Circusports.com. Miranda, what would you do if you won $14 million?
Travel, Justin. Pay our debts. Travel.
There you go.
Retire.
Retire.
All of my work listeners.
Love it.
I would be retiring.
Yeah.
See ya.
So you better hope she does not win. Love it. No, on the NFL Gambling Pod, Moneyline Mac asked me what I would do, and the first thing that just popped in my mind, he thought it was going to be buy the Bears franchise, which is an excellent answer, but that was not my answer. My answer was open my own distillery. We would have our own whiskey. I mean, why not?
There you go, Justin. Retire.
Retire.
Invest, pay debts,
And have a
do
distillery.
whatever the hell we want.
So, what are we talking about today?
Well, this is crazy because it wasn't quite a year ago because this was not our first ever old-fashioned football episode.
It was our
But
second ever. But
It was our second ever?
yes.
Oh my God. We are coming up on the year
Yeah.
shortly
Later
here.
this month. It's the 22nd, I believe.
Which is insane.
It is.
But anyway, just about a year ago, we covered the 10 commandments of Auction League Fantasy Football.
I'm sorry, the what?
10?
The 10 Commandments of Auction Fantasy Football.
That you mean.
Yes, that. And I know during the season, we kind of made some addendums to that. you and I took a look at all of that because I feel like some of the priorities changed. And the order, we do have some of the important ones towards the top of the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
We also combined a couple, and we changed what our addendums were. One of the addendums, we moved to a commandment because it is absolutely important. And you didn't really trust me. Or believe me on it. But I have fully convinced you. So we did make it one of the 10.
I have to say that on the record, that is correct. I was not fully on board, but looking at these numbers that we're going to get into, have some data written down, it's insane. It really is insane. We'll get to it, though. It's not just that.
I showed you.
Yeah, no, I know.
I went back to previous draft years, and I'm just like, see?
I fucking auto-drafted Rob Gronkowski for $50-some, but it was his best fantasy football season ever, and I won. So that's exactly how it went for you.
Well, I guess.
As magazines flew and
but no,
tears
we're going to get
shed.
into these, and we're going to go over them. Because these are, I wouldn't say, they're the 10 Commandments. They will help you win your fantasy auction draft.
Yeah.
Or fantasy auction league.
I would say, I think you're right the first time because anything can happen in the season. But if you kind of follow along with these, you'll walk away kind of winning your draft.
You'll be happy.
What you do from there and how you manage like your players, your start sits, your waivers, obviously listen to us because we will try to give you advice on that, on all of that. But what you do from there is up to you. But I do think you're kind of more accurate to start there that this is what's going to help you win your draft.
Yes.
Which doesn't always translate to winning your league. That's my only point.
I can tell you, Justin, do you know how many times we've looked at the drafts and like ESPN or Sleeper will say like the prediction of who would be number one, who would win?
Yeah.
Based on just the draft.
Yeah. It's
do you know how many times? I know it's rarely right because it matters what you do in the season. But do you know how many times you've looked at it and like, oh, you had the best draft?
Me? Oh, yeah.
No, me. You've looked at that information and told me that I had the best draft.
I don't recall this ever happening.
I do.
I know, I'm kidding.
The last time specifically was the 2020 draft. We were staying at my parents' cabin home because we were in between homes.
Yeah.
We had just bought this house.
Typical Bears fan bringing up the past.
Oh, my God. Okay, moving on. Let's get started. Let's jump into these 10 Commandments.
10 Commandments of Fantasy Football Auction Drafts.
Would you like to take number one here?
Yeah, I would. I'm passionate about it.
We say number one. Again, these aren't like necessarily a ranking.
The first commandment. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Do not, I repeat, do not auto draft. We move that up to number one. It's not, these aren't necessarily ranked, but we're like, this is just important. If you're going to do an auction draft, be present or find somebody to replace you because nobody wants to draft when somebody's on auto draft because the auto draft will automatically bid up a player to their value. You can't get any deals.
Right.
It messes up everybody's draft strategy. It's not okay. It's not cool. Don't do it.
Yeah. And we work with the people in our leagues of like, hey, what times work for you? So I get if somebody just sets a random time and you're like, there's no way I can make that work. But most league managers, they work with people in there, show up, be respectful to your league mates.
Exactly. So this kind of goes in for all of you league managers, commissioners. Don't set your people up to be on auto draft.
Right.
It is your responsibility to schedule when your entire league can draft.
Yes, I agree. And yeah, the auto draft, it does. It messes everything up when everybody's going for their max amount because auto draft is just bidding. And at the same time, you don't want auto drafted because it really messes up the balance of your team.
Mm-hmm. And even more than that, it will mess up your keepers for the next year.
Yeah, true.
It's going to because you are going to spend the max for every player unless people don't bid against the player,
Right.
But auto draft is going to pick the next best available and they're going to bid and bid and bid until they reach that value. So even if you would have spent more, you won't get in a player that you would have spent more on. And if
what'd you call me?
Moron. And if you wanted to get, if you had a max that you would have spent for somebody, AutoDraft doesn't care about that. AutoDraft is going to pay the value.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it just messes up everything, and it's going to be hard for you for keepers for the following year.
Agreed. Before we get into this other one, Miranda, would you like to tell people if they don't want to jump right into the auction stuff right away and they just want to get some best ball stuff done, you want to tell them where they could do that?
Absolutely, because we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Underdog Pick'em is also a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL season player props. There are so many ways to win over on Underdog, and Underdog is available in so many states. Head on over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Again, that's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. And if you are doing that, just know that it does help us and it helps SGPN, and we would not be here without SGPN.
This is Jim Miller, former Chicago Bears quarterback. Now, back to old-fashioned football.
Speaking of not being here, I mean, we talked about we're almost to our year. Thank you to all the listeners that have been with us from the beginning. Welcome to all the new ones too, but thanks for those that have been here since the beginning. We obviously would not be able to continue doing this if it wasn't for your guys' support. So your guys' and gals. So it means a lot to us.
We have a lot of female listeners, Justin.
We do. The trends say it to be true. I need some WD-40 on this mic stand. I move it back and forth by habit. Something that I kind of learned, I guess, being on the pod with CJ and Colby. They do that a lot, and I don't know, you mimic. But anyways, yeah, it squeaks a lot. Let's talk about number 2, or just the next one on our list. And not everybody's gonna agree on what this exactly is, but
Nobody's going to agree.
Nobody's gonna agree. Plan your draft budget by position. Go ahead and kind of write down going into the draft, like, I don't want to go over X amount of dollars for running backs or X amount of dollars for wide receivers. And if you don't want to be too, I guess, dependent on that, just say, I don't want to go over X for my top wide receiver, top running back. But I do it by position. We kind of broke this down, didn't we?
We did. So if
and,
you've been
and
listening,
it is different, I think, for both of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of did too, because I planned a budget if I got Travis Kelce at his value,
Right.
which is $58 right now. Because everyone knows, it should be no surprise that I'm going after a top tight end. My ideal tight end to have drafted is obviously going to be Travis Kelce. Valued at $58, that's over 25% of my budget, of a $200 budget. So you want me to go through this? Like, just break it down?
Break it down by position if you can. Or...
If I got, and this is all dependent, my draft revolves every year around the tight end position and what I spend to get my tight end. And if I have an idea of on the other positions, but it can fluctuate, and I've done that for you guys. I would be happy getting Travis Kelce through Mark Andrews. I'm getting one of the top 4. Travis Kelce is at $58. Mark Andrews is valued at $28. So I did a draft budget, like how it would change if I got $58. $58 Travis Kelce versus $28 Mark Andrew. Based
Mark Andrews.
Sorry, Mark Andrews. Sorry, S is important. It matters.
It's like when people call us Mark, like Justin Marks. It's like,
Yeah.
there's no
There's no
S
S.
on that.
The S matters. Sorry, Mark Andrews. Okay. So I would have a max of $10 at the quarterback position, which some people are going to lose their minds over. But I normally don't spend a lot, and that should be no surprise to our listeners. I told you, I don't spend a lot on quarterbacks. Running back, I put at $50. RB2, $10.
$50 for all running backs?
No.
For your top. Okay.
For RB1, $50.
Got it.
RB2, $10. This is a 17.
I started saying that.
No,
and then
16 position league.
I started saying
7
that and then
bench spots.
process that you were saying.
This is
RB2
not
next.
a super flex. This would change if it was super flex. This
Sure.
is just basic.
Yeah.
I would spend up to $45 for a top wide receiver. My wide receiver 10 would be at $10. My wide receiver 2 would be at $10. Obviously, I already said my tight end at $58. My flex, it leaves me at $5. This is dicey. I've had to do this before though. I've done it and I've done fine. So everybody freaking out, it's fine. Kicker $1. I put my defense at $3 just because I can't put two. You can't spend $2 unless you're going to be the jerk that bids on somebody's dollar defense.
Right.
And if I nominate a defense, I normally am not going to get a top 10 defense because people bid that up. But if I nominate somebody I want, somebody bids against me, I would bid again for $3.
Okay,
So I just
got
put $3 out there. I like to spend $1 on a defense. I can get one bench spot at $2 and the rest are all at $1. That is probably terrifying for people. That is 6 bench spots at $1. I've done it before. I've done just fine. It just depends on who I go. But I went for my key important players. Now on the flip side, if I got Mark Andrews at $28, that drastically changes things. I can go up to $15 for a quarterback. I would come down to $40 for my wide receiver, and my wide receiver 2 would get up to $15. $40 for my that was running backs. I am a mess today. $40 for my wide receiver 1, up to $15 for my wide receiver 2, $28 for Mark Andrews, $15 in my flex position, whether that's running back or wide receiver. I did not break it down that way. I don't care. I like a balance of wide receivers and running backs when I draft, but I'm not normally paying attention to that. I draft on best available for the position and what works with my team versus, I need a wide receiver next. $1 kicker, $1 defense, 3 $5 bench spots, 1 $4 bench spot, and 3 $1 bench spots.
All right.
That I don't know if anyone kept up with that, but that is just showing you if I base it on my tight end.
If they didn't, in today's day and age, that rewind 15-second or 10-second button, whatever, it's really easy to
I
find.
didn't want
Just
to
rewind and listen.
Spend 10 minutes talking about this, but depending on where I get my tight end on, that's how I adjust my budget for my other players. And then let's say that I was going to spend up to $40 for an RB1 and I got a deal on him and it's $35. Well, then I have $5 floating out there. So I could spend $5 more than my max on another position. And I just kind of keep track of that as I'm drafting or bidding.
Makes sense. So I'm going to go over mine really quickly. Mine's not going to be as in-depth as you went there.
Oh, did I go too in-depth?
No,
I'm
you're
thinking,
good.
I'm just going to fly through this.
You're good. I started opposite of you, though. I started with what I would spend the least on. So kicker, $1. Defense, $1. 0.5% of your budget. I won't spend more than that. If somebody wants to bid the $2 on the defense, whatever, have them. Unless it's towards the end of the draft and I don't happen to have my defense yet. Rarely happens, but it can happen. Quarterback, I put $10 to $20. That's including my starter and my backup. That's not 10 to 20 for the top. That's starter and backup, so 5 to 10%, which leaves me with $178. Now, I'm going to go into more of the why behind this later, because we are going to talk more about the tight end position coming up. You kind of teased at it already. But if it's not Travis Kelce, the top I will spend is $25. That includes starter and backup if I get a backup. $25. Not spending any more than that. And then I'm left with $153 to split between wide receiver and running back. It's interesting because you'll have a lot of people, running back's the most important position. Or you'll have people, running back doesn't matter anymore. I go 0 RB and only take wide receivers to start with. The difference between the number 1 running back and the number 10 running back, almost exactly 100 points. The difference between the number 1 wide receiver and the number 10 wide receiver, 97 points. The difference between your 1 and 10 doesn't matter whether it's running back or wide receiver. I think they're equally important. You want to try to get the best players you can. I have $73 towards wide receivers, $80 towards running backs.
Now, sorry to interrupt you. What
You're
about
good.
the difference between the number 10 running back and the number 10 wide receiver?
Number 10 wide receiver was 207 points. Number 10 running back was 218. So you're looking at 9 points.
So it's pretty equal.
It is pretty equal. Number 1 running back, 319 points. This is half PPR points. Number 1 a wide receiver, 304. So 15 points there. So it's very
and
close.
running backs have more.
Yeah.
For
Yep.
both of those.
So it's very close. That's why. So wide receiver $73, running backs $80. However, that part of my draft is what changes as the draft goes.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receivers, running backs fluctuate the most.
Now, it's interesting to me that you lump positions together. Like, you'll spend $25 total on, did you say tight ends?
Yeah.
On tight ends. And for me, it's like, I'm going to get that top player.
Sure.
I'm going to go with it. Like, I'm going to spend this much on my top. And I'm going to get the top because I make sure that I do. And then it kind of changes. Like, not the top. I get a top player.
A top, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing at quarterback. I don't say, well, because obviously I'm going to draft a backup tight end. I'm going to draft a backup quarterback. But I don't lump them together for the budget. It's that what's left over is, if this quarterback, I have more value drafting him or getting him than going after this wide receiver or this running back on my bench, I can spend up to $5 on him. I can spend up to $10 on him.
Right.
I kind of do it that way. I don't lump the positions together.
I do because, if I spend $50, $60 on a running back, I have 20 to 30 left for the rest of my running backs. Or maybe I get my top running back that I wanted for 40, or maybe not even that I wanted. Maybe a guy goes way too high, so the next option I get is $40. Well, then the rest of them I have $40 extra to play with. That's just kind of how I've always approached my drafts. I just buy position. Don't go over X budget, and it will. I mean, if you go over by a couple bucks, it happens. But the nice thing about that is, if I draft 2 quarterbacks early on and I've only spent $12, I know. Now I can reallocate that $20 I maybe had towards the other positions.
We're very different.
And I don't think any approach is wrong or
No,
right.
it's not.
You got to find out what works for you.
I usually spend everything. We're talking way too much on this.
This is a big one,
but
though.
it is a big one. But I usually end up with I'm drafting a couple $1 players.
Sometimes I end up with
you
too
end
much
up with
money
like,
left.
okay, well, you could have spent more and gotten a better player. So
I know.
it's just interesting.
We determined last year that I am a cheap ass.
You are a cheap ass. And I would rather not. And I think
that strategy's
messed
changing
up,
this year.
Yeah, I think you messed up somewhere if you walk away with $10 left of your budget. Where could that $10 have gone?
Or last year, I believe it was the Rumble when I walked away with $30 to $40. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
So pissed. But it was just that I wouldn't bid higher on certain players. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, shit, there's nobody left we're spending that money on.
You walked away with 20% of your budget.
I was pissed. Don't get me
You
wrong. I know I
drafted
fucked
wrong.
it up.
This is just a disclaimer and announcement to all of our listeners. If you walk away with 20% of your budget, what the hell were you doing? Spend your money, get the good players. You missed out on players if you walk away with $40.
I understand that I messed it up. I get that. I know I messed up in that league. It is what it is. I've learned from it. I'm better because of it. Yeah, this year you're going to see things are going to be different for me this year. We've both done fantasy football for a long time, but in talking in depth about pretty much every subject we can talk about when it comes to auction drafts,
It makes you think about things differently.
It does, 100%.
It puts different things in a perspective. It changes your opinions on things. It's crazy because, we've been doing it for over 10 years. And then doing this show with everyone, it's just really changed how I view strategies for drafting, preparation.
But this next thing will never change, right?
It won't. The third commandment of Auction League Fantasy Football is nominate a top player that you don't want.
Classic.
It is. It's classic. Because think about the strategy there. Let's say you don't want Devontae Adams and he's still out there. He hasn't been nominated when it comes around. He's a number 2 wide receiver?
Number 2.
Nominate him and let everybody go into a bidding war over him. Get other people's budgets gone. Don't nominate some third string wide receiver that you don't want him. Well, nobody else wants him either. And nobody's going to spend money. Like, do you know what I mean? Get people's budgets gone.
Yeah.
And keep your budget, your cap there so that you have more money than other people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, your idea is to drain their budget so that you get guys for less. other people.
That is something I always watch when we're drafting. I watch where people's budgets are going.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, who could outbid me here?
Right.
Who could outbid me if I nominate him? And I like to put myself in a position, if possible. It's not always possible if I'm spending $58 on Travis Kelce to have the most budget out there left so that I know I can get any player I want.
So if you refuse to spend that on a tight end, you say, there's no way I'm going to spend over $50 for a tight end, nominate Travis Kelce right away.
Mm-hmm. Nominate him.
Same with Patrick Mahomes. If you don't want to spend
sweat.
Yeah.
Make me stress out in our leagues. Nominate Travis Kelce.
Now, my only caveat to this is make sure it is somebody that people are going to bid on. Last year, I nominated Miles Sanders. I thought, and it worked out for me. I'm not complaining, but I thought, okay, I'm going to nominate Miles Sanders, take some of people's money. Nobody bid against me. I got Miles Sanders for $1. I'm not complaining because he did very well.
But it made you question, it's like, what is happening?
Right. Because his projected value was around $20. The projections do mean something, but just sometimes they don't.
It depends on your league.
It does.
It really depends on your league.
Yep. The next one, I feel like you should say it because this is totally you. You kind of are the queen of this after your team name was bye week 9.
Mm-hmm. Do not worry about your bye week. Don't pay attention to it. You start focusing on that. It'll impact your draft in ways that it doesn't need to. Don't worry about it. I ended a draft with 6 players in bye week 9 one year. Had several in by week 7, I think, too, in the same league. Like, it doesn't matter. I did just fine. I made it to the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't because it's 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
1 week will rarely make or break it.
You should be able to set yourself up. Like, I planned for that. I knew that week was coming.
Yeah.
And things change, too. Players don't do as you expect them to.
Right.
Like...
Yeah, with injuries, people under and overperforming, you can't focus on the bye weeks when you're drafting. It's too early to think about that.
On the player. And if you are like tripping balls that you have 6 players in bye week 9 when it comes to it, then you still have good players that you can use for trades. You can trade.
Excuse me. What is tripping balls?
I don't know.
Where did that come from?
If you're stressing out.
Tripping on your balls stress you out? It would me.
I wouldn't know.
It would me. No, the only thing I would say is, we have these teams that have bye week 14s now, or 13s or 14s. Sometimes your playoffs are hitting then. I'm in a league where playoffs are week 14.
Yeah.
Don't have everybody on week 14. That bit me in the ass when the Bears had a bye week late, and I had Justin Fields. And it's like I'm pushing for the playoffs, and now my quarterback is on a bye week. So that part, you wouldn't want too many people on a bye week.
You wouldn't.
But
so there's a good point there. But you would still, don't you agree?
You would plan, yeah.
You could plan for that. You could
sure.
I'm going to trade this person. I drafted this person. He's a very, fantasy relevant person. People are going to want to trade me for him. Yeah. And you have that.
Yeah, makes sense. I shouldn't have let you take that one because I know you're passionate about this next one too, but I'm going to say it. I learned it from you. Invest in a premium tight end.
I think it's extremely important because the talent pool for tight ends is minimal. You have Travis Kelce through Mark Andrews. I think Taysom Hill is he's
the outlier.
Yeah, but he's not the same quality tight end as Mark Andrews. There's a big difference between number 4 and number 5. I like Taysom Hill. He's a very versatile player. He can get you unexpected points when he's the quarterback on the team. But if you can plan it and make it work, it's important to get one of the top 4 tight ends.
He's like getting an ace in a hand of blackjack, but not actually having blackjack. Very versatile. To quote your dad, I hate those hands personally, but he has always said it's very versatile. Just to break that down a little bit, I teased that I was going to do this. Travis Kelce, we said $58, right? The number 2 tight end from last year was TJ Hawkinson. He's going for $22. That's his projected value. Wow, that's a big difference. Travis Kelce had 90 more points than the tight end too.
The difference is the difference between getting the number 1 running back
90.
and the number 10 running back. That is the difference between the number 1 tight end and the number 2 tight end.
90 points.
90 points. That makes or breaks a season.
107 more than tight end 4 Mark Andrews.
Yes, that is a huge deal in your that's why you want to invest in a premium tight end, because that 90 points.
We're just going to get in so many fights these drafts.
I know.
A lot of our leagues are
I
contract
made you
leagues.
realize that I'm correct on this.
Well, especially when it comes to him. And a lot of our leagues are contract leagues, but in leagues he's not contracted, this is going to get ugly.
I think we draft in separate rooms of the house. I'm getting goosebumps over you're making me nervous.
I might
Justin,
need to go
because you are
draft in
not
the
my
shop.
competition for tight ends. Have never been my competition there before. And look at my arms. I have goosebumps.
90
Thinking
points.
about the arguments that we are going to get into and how upset one of us is going to be at the other person around draft time.
I'm going to draft in our shop building,
I was gonna
completely
say,
different building.
It's not
to save
different
myself.
rooms. This is going to need to be different buildings. You need to go to somebody else's house and draft.
Yeah.
We'll still probably be on speakerphone yelling at each other.
90 points, though.
Oh, my God.
That is insane when I saw that. 90 points.
And that's why this matters. This isn't just winning your draft. This is winning your season. Now, there's only 4 of them. And if you're in a 12-person league, 6 people are not going to get one of those top 4 unless somebody doesn't listen to us. And I've drafted 2 top 5 tight ends before.
I have to interrupt you.
Yes.
Because you just did some terrible math there. You said there are only 4 of them. If you're in a 12-person league,
I said a 10-person.
You said 12.
I did not roll it back.
No, I'm not going to roll it back right now, but I promise you said 12. But in a 10-person league,
Really?
yes,
Okay,
there's
in a
6.
10-person.
In a 12-person, though,
It's even worse. In a 12-person, 8 people don't get that top 5. Shut up. I swear I said
roll
10.
it back. Well, you guys can listen, and maybe I was wrong. We'll see.
Well, I'm going to listen to, after we get through this, I am going back to whatever. Write this minute down.
Okay, all right.
Write it down, because I said 10.
What's next? Because this is what we're going to end up doing.
Don't get caught up in a bidding war.
Is the caveat unless it's Travis Kelce?
Well,
is that the one
here's
outlier?
what this means, though. We need to talk about what this really means. You really want a player, and you're in a bidding war, and you just keep going. And before you know it, you've spent $70 on Travis Kelce, and your budget is fucked.
Yeah.
That's what this means. It doesn't mean don't get in bidding wars. Don't get caught up in it, or you lose your ability to be rational and logical about what you're paying for that player.
You're going to have bidding wars because everybody's bidding on the players. But
yes.
It goes back to plan your draft budget by position.
Mm-hmm.
If you get in that bidding war and all of a sudden you're at $110 in running backs because you got in 2 stupid bidding wars and you didn't know when to quit, you're in trouble. Sorry, the dog is trying to cover herself with the blanket.
It's folded up.
And she is struggling, and it's really funny. I don't know if she's trying to cover herself or her collar. We didn't pause the podcast. We cut out the dead air while Miranda went and covered her for her. Do you have anything else to say on don't get caught up on a bidding war?
Because I think I heard a firework.
Oh, is that what she's...
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And it's really important for her to be hidden from the world when there are fireworks.
Yes,
going on.
True. Did you have anything else on don't get caught up in a bidding war? Because otherwise I'll go on to the next one, which when we originally did our show, we renamed this, or we just said this could also be named Don't Be a Dick. Don't bid people up, or at least be cautious. You were offended because you said I called you a dick because you do bid people up.
I'm a dick.
And you wonder why people do it to you.
I
And
know.
you complain when people do it to
Karma.
you.
No, because I don't know.
If you're doing it, you have to be
Strategy.
cautious.
You have to be cautious, and I am. I've gotten stuck with players, but
Right.
usually I'm doing it on a good player that I wouldn't be upset about if I got.
And that's what yeah.
And it's because here's the thing. We know people so well in some of our leagues that I know that people are going to go crazy for Brock Purdy or Breece Hall because they're Iowa State players.
Right. Yeah.
So there's that.
No, it makes sense. Know your league. That helps a lot. That's not one of our commandments, but if you know your league, even if you
It's
can
not
just get
possible.
some feelers.
Think of Cody Zeeb, who's in 200 how many leagues? Is it 60 or
he
is it
said
200?
70. You
But
said 200.
It feels to me 70 and 200 there's no difference because I don't know how you keep up with it. It's not possible to intimately know your league members in those when you're in that many. Maybe Cody does. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is a
Well, maybe not intimately, but maybe he at least knows their fantasy football desires.
I mean intimate on like I know who your preferences are for fantasy football.
Oh,
Justin.
okay. Okay.
That kind of intimate.
Fair enough. What do you got next?
I mean, I do know you intimately,
Yes.
and you're in a lot of my leagues.
Don't tell people we share cooties.
Okay, this next one, this is one for you mostly, but I kind of agree. It can be helpful.
You want me to say it?
No, I'm going to say it.
Because last year
you
you disagreed, and then the next episode you're like, oh, I kind of agree. Let the record show.
I know.
Wishy-washy.
This is mine. I'm going to take it. Draft your kicker and your defense early.
Yes.
I like to get them out of the way. But if you know you're only going to spend $1 on them, it doesn't matter.
I guess that's true. It doesn't matter. However,
I guarantee you early on when people have a lot of money, you're never going to get the kicker or the defense. Like you're not going to nothing makes me angrier than when people bid up a kicker because you never should spend more than $1 on it. I shouldn't say nothing makes me angrier.
We broke that down last year, and the difference between the number 1 kicker and like the number 20 was 2 points a game. Yeah. That's it. But anyways, yeah, go on. Nothing makes you angrier.
I shouldn't, and I was saying I won't say nothing makes me angry.
Cue my dad bidding $2 on the kicker you nominate.
Randy, I'm already yelling at you, and we aren't even drafting. No, because I shouldn't. Nothing makes me angrier, but it makes me angry. It makes you angry. I've heard you be like throw a pen because somebody put $2 on
I've gone
kicker.
3 kicker nominations in a row before I get my kicker because people have bid me up. It's
you want to make Justin angry? You know his first nomination is going to be a kicker every time.
This is why I end up with $30-some because I'm too focused on my kicker.
The reason that happens too is because by your third kicker nomination, somebody's like, oh, well, I should probably get one of the top kickers.
Right.
Because people don't realize there's not much of a point difference among kickers.
I'm just going to nominate a bottom one. I'm doing a different strategy. Guaranteed to get him or guaranteed to make somebody overpay for a kicker that's not good.
Well, $2 is overpaying for a kicker.
I know. I agree. Speaking of nominations, don't nominate your handcuffed until you need to.
Your handcuffed?
Your handcuff.
I thought you said cuffed.
I don't think I did, but maybe I did. Don't nominate your handcuff until you need to. What do I mean by that? Here's what I mean. You just drafted Jonathan Taylor as your first running back. Then it comes back to your next nomination, and you nominate his backup. Everybody knows you're going to pay for that backup. Oh, he just got Jonathan Taylor. He's going to want this player, and they're going to bid you up. Don't let them do that. Wait till towards the end.
And if you're not going to wait till towards the end, wait a few nominations at least so that people forget you drafted Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But really, yeah, I wouldn't. If you want to get your handcuff, don't nominate him early and draw attention to that. You're not going to be happy. You're going to overpay. Not a good situation.
Agreed.
And our 10th commandment, which Justin really needs to listen to, is don't be afraid to spend your money. Even if you're like me and the last couple players that you're drafting on your bench, you're spending $1 on. It's okay. You'll do fine. Spend your money. Get the players that you have budgeted for and that you can get. And as your budget fluctuates and you have more money for certain positions, spend it because you don't want to be like, well, I have $5 left over. And if I had bid an extra $5 on Jamal Williams, I could have had him. I would have won the bid or something like that. And then you could have had Jamal Williams, and you didn't.
One of the ones for me was Gabe Davis. I wouldn't spend extra on him last year. Turns out it didn't matter because he didn't have a superior year.
Yeah, you walked away from that draft upset,
pissed because
especially about Gabe Davis.
Yeah, just because he went for so high, and then I ended up with some money, and it's like I could have got him. Now he finishes the 27th wide receiver, so maybe it's good that I didn't spend over $30 for him. But I was pissed at the time for sure. One more thing on that as well is think about how many waivers you put in every year during your fantasy football season. And who are you putting to drop? Usually the people you pay $1 for. So don't be afraid to have $5 or $6 players because it's just going to make them easier to be like, this guy, I only paid $1 for him. I'm fine dropping him.
with how things went last year, especially, and there's been so many changes in the NFL this offseason, so many trades. It's crazy. But we saw so many players become top 10 that were waiver wire people.
Yeah. Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Jones. Just for quarterbacks. I mean, if you think about just quarterbacks,
Yeah.
there's two of them. Geno Smith.
You're going to want, like, that's why you need to listen to us all season when we cover the waiver wires every week, because I think it's really important to be engaged in the waivers and to be picking up key players who are performing every week.
100%. Especially, I think that affects quarterbacks and tight ends more than it does running backs and wide receivers, because, you know,
if you didn't get Travis Kelce through Mark Andrews, you didn't get one of the top 4, you didn't get Taysom Hill, you might drop your tight end every week picking up the tight end off of the waivers.
Yeah, tight ends number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 11, we either gave out as sleeper candidates and or waiver wire pickups before they went big, before they started up the ranks, or when they were rostered in less than 50% of the leagues. I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but that's a reason to listen to Old Fashioned Football in our waiver pickups.
We got you covered, people.
That's right.
Now, we went through our 10 commandments. We do have some addendums. We have addendum A and B right now. It reminds me of being at work, looking at client business rules here, addendums. So...
Reminds me of my 3 months as a contract analyst. It was more than 3 months, but...
All right. I had this as a commandment last year. We moved it to an addendum. I think there's going to be a lot of disagreements, but I think, like, for me specifically, when I budget towards a tight end, I cannot spend a lot of money on a quarterback because I won't take away budget from my wide receiver and my running backs. So I always say don't go crazy on a quarterback. I never go crazy on a quarterback. I've been fine.
So I agree with this. I don't go crazy on a quarterback. But right now, Patrick Mahomes is going for $46. That's his projected. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. But
what's the difference between Mahomes and Josh Allen in points last year?
16 is the only difference. But Allen is still at $40.
All right.
Take a guess at the difference between number 1 Mahomes and number 5 last year, Geno Smith, in points.
30.
114.
Oh, Jesus.
114 points to go for your top quarterback instead of who ended up the 5th. He was 44 points above the 3rd, which was Jalen Hurts. He was 59 above the 4th, which was Joe Burrow. Then 114 above the 5th, which was Geno Smith. Now, the difference between number 5, Geno Smith, and number 10, which happened to be Jared Goff, only 20 points. But Patrick Mahomes is that much above everybody else, which is crazy.
I'd be curious. This is just me thinking about seeing the success of a league that had Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but no budget for your top wide receivers and running backs to see, because you would be guaranteed to have 200 points more
than everybody.
Yeah. To end your season with.
Right.
What you do in between there. But I just wonder what you could get.
Are they going to have any regression, do you think?
Mahomes is not.
Don't think he'll regress any.
I don't see Travis.
Last year was his best statistical year. So, I mean,
I say they have another year. They just have another. They have to.
What's crazy to me is Mahomes was 4th in 2021. Josh Allen was the 1st. And Mahomes was 4th in 2020. Josh Allen was the 1st. So that was the first time in the past 3 years that Mahomes has been the 1st. But what's crazy to me is they got rid of Tyreek Hill. And people, including myself, thought, oh, he's going to take a step back. He got better. It's insane.
He was warming up, guys.
So I agree, don't spend on a quarterback, but I can't blame you if you spend on Patrick Mahomes.
I just like I said, I'd be curious to see if you had a top 4 and Mahomes. I don't think that you can go. I don't think you can do, though. I don't know how you would do it. I don't think you can get premium tight end and Patrick Mahomes.
And still do okay.
But on
Or
your
still
other
win,
positions. Yeah, I don't know.
If you had that last year and you're listening, let us know if you had Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Let us know like your
Who
total
are your
points.
top wide receivers and your top running backs?
Yeah, that too.
And how'd you do in your league?
Yep. And the last addendum, if it's your first time doing an auction league, I'm going to let you know right now, players are going to go quickly. Bidding is going to be fast. Don't get overwhelmed. If it's your first time, don't get overwhelmed.
I'm thinking the wheels are just turning up here. If we weren't doing an auction league and we were doing a snake draft, you totally could get Mahomes and Kelce
Oh, yeah.
together
It's the auction.
and still
where-
get top wide
This is-
receivers and running backs.
This is why I say auction drafts are king, because it's just a completely different strategy. Completely different.
Are we doing any? We have one snake draft.
Yeah. You better hope I don't snipe you.
We need to follow up on the commissioner in that league.
Yeah. First time commissioner. Do you have anything else to add to our 10 commandments?
We didn't go over addendum B.
What do you mean? I just said it.
You did?
Yes.
You said if it's your first time, don't get overwhelmed.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say that's what she said, and instead you said, oh, I'm sorry, the wheels are turning here.
I was totally spacing. I'm so sorry. I was just thinking about my dream team of Mahomes and Kelce together.
Do you listen to anything I say?
And Jamal Williams. I could get Jamal Williams in that because I think I'm higher on him.
That reminds me, 2 headlines. Alvin Kamara pleaded no contest. That does not mean, and the charges were dropped. That doesn't mean the NFL won't punish him. They have in the past. When that case has come up, they're going to do their own internal investigation. But it is a step forward for him. And then I unfortunately closed my... Oh, here it is. Per Pro Football Talk and NBC Sports, Saquon Barkley was offered a contract worth $13 million a year, including $26 million over the first 2 years, and he did not accept it. The rumor is he's looking to get around Christian McCaffrey money, which was $16 million.
Oh my gosh, that's not going to happen.
$16 million per year, and Barkley's availability for Week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys will be in serious question if he does not receive a long-term deal. So if you draft Saquon Barkley, do not draft his handcuffed right away. Spread it out a little bit because everybody's going to bid you up.
It's always nerve-wracking drafting a player who's in a holdout because we've had players, it's time to draft and they're really good and they're in a holdout and you don't know what's going to happen. I was just going to say I had seen some other headlines. I didn't note them down, and I almost don't want to say this next one because I feel like I have a certain uncle who's going to give me crap. Rodgers was in the news.
Of course he was. He's always in the news.
But it wasn't like what you were thinking.
Oh.
Apparently he's amping up the Jets locker room
Oh, yeah.
in practice, and the energy on that team is higher than it's ever been, and there is so much optimism, and the team is just like they think they're going to win it all. And while I disagree, that kind of energy does do something for performance.
How many years did Rodgers start for the Packers?
I don't know. A long time.
15 as the
15.
starting quarterback.
I was going to say 12.
How many amped up teams did that win the Super Bowl with Rodgers? One.
But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the Jets team.
I know.
Aaron Rodgers out of it. They're
I understand.
excited
I just
about having Rodgers. They're practicing better. There's just they have some good stuff going on there.
until he
can
has
make a
one of his
difference.
pissy moments and makes him angry.
Well, he's not pissy yet.
Not yet. It's all fresh. Give it time. Give it time.
Justin, we need to talk up the Jets players and get everybody to draft the Jets.
Oh, yeah. Draft the Jets. Brandon's favorite team. He'll probably have all their quarterbacks. Should we talk some whiskey?
Yes, we haven't gotten to whiskey yet.
No, and I've been looking at this and wanting to try it. So you talk, and I'm going to taste.
No.
Oh, no.
I was going to flip it on you.
All right. I can do
Only
that.
because you did all the research. You've been so excited about this whiskey.
I have.
And you did the research for us this week. So I was going to let you
All right.
talk about what you discovered.
I'll go through
and
this
I'm going to sit back and
whole
try it.
spiel I wrote down. Penelope Bourbon Barrel Strength Toasted Series. As we said, it's the Rocky Mountain Select. This is 115 proof, barrel proof. And this is batch 87. For the toasted series, Penelope takes their signature 4-grain bourbon, and after full maturation, after it matures in charred new American oak barrels, they finish it in new, freshly toasted barrels, and each batch is custom and different and has a unique flavor, so you can't find a flavor profile on their site like everything else, which is fine, because we've stopped kind of looking at flavor profiles and doing our own. It's distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which by MGP Ingredients, which also, they own a lot of distilleries that make Ezra Brooks, Minor Case Rye, The Quiet Man, Yellowstone, Remus Bourbon, and many, many more spirits. So Penelope Bourbon, I thought this was interesting. It was created to celebrate the birth of a child. In 2018, the founder, Mike Palladini, and his wife, Carrie, found out they were going to have a girl, and they named her Penelope. To commemorate, Mike quickly realized he wanted to create a spirit that embodied the daily joy of life's pleasures, both big and small. He teamed up with his childhood friend and neighbor, convenient, Danny Police. I'm sorry, Danny, if I said your name wrong. And they set out to produce a bourbon that everybody could appreciate and enjoy. And just like a child would be born, so was their company. Today, Penelope is sold in over 27 states nationwide and 4 countries. And I'm guessing it had a little kick to it by the face you gave.
My eyes are watering.
Oh, man. Did you smell first to get your palate ready?
I did. I even
With your mouth open?
Open mouth smelled it, Justin. I French smelled it.
French smelled it. That's our new name for that. I want to kind of go over some. Penelope has a lot of products that I did not realize. So their core series that you can, if Penelope's sold in your state, you can find their 4-grain whiskey bourbon, their Penelope Architect, which is their bourbon finished in French oak staves, the barrel strengthened, and the toasted bourbon. They also have limited series, which is called Cooper Series, which is named for their son Cooper, which include Rio, which takes their bourbon and does a double cask finish of American oak and American honey, not hoke, American honey and Brazilian oak. They have a rosé, not rose. Gosh dang, I'm great at reading. They have a rosé cask finish. It didn't have the little thing over it, so I just read rose.
Cask, huh?
Yeah,
Like just
a barrel of roses.
We're gonna empty our cask of roses here, and we're gonna put this bourbon in it.
They have the Valencia, which explores the marriage of different cask finishes with their bourbon, which and has influences from the coasts of Spain. The Tojaki, which is finished in different wine casks. They also have other limited series, which include Barrel Strength Private Select, a Toasted Rye, an American Light Whiskey, and then, of course, one that we did not name because it is a super special one, the Barrel Strength Toasted Series Rocky Mountain Select. What did you taste? I'm going to take a taste and let me know.
Justin,
Yeah.
it is strong. So I know it tastes like a good bourbon, okay? It's smooth, but it has burn.
I didn't get the burn until I swallowed. No burn.
It's the
front.
swallowing.
It's when you swallow, you get
I
it right
swallowed
at your
and my
throat.
eyes watered.
Just right in my
And-
throat, though. I didn't feel it down. Did you?
No.
Yeah, just right in the
Right
throat.
in the
you
back
get the
of
heat.
the throat.
Sorry, we gotta start calling it heat. I
Heat.
forget. It's
Not
the heat.
burn. It didn't burn me.
It does burn, but it's the heat.
It's the heat. Okay.
I think that's how distillers like it.
That's how they like it, Justin. I'm a 90 proof girl, okay? I like my 90 proofs. This is 115 proof, and it's very strong. It really much stands out in our old fashioned, which I will
Yeah.
talk about in a little bit because I made it special.
Yeah.
And it has a very pleasant oak finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been a minute since I've tasted it, and I can still taste like a very, I don't know how to describe the oak taste, but it's different.
It's toasted.
It's toasted oak, but it's
Yeah.
very nice.
It's a strong oak taste too,
Mm-hmm.
but good. The smell, I get a oak and
almost caramel,
I was gonna say vanilla.
vanilla caramel. Yes.
And the taste,
It's a
I
little
get
sweet. It is vanilla. You're
yeah.
right.
I get a hint of vanilla with the taste too, oak and vanilla.
You're
But
right. It is absolutely vanilla, like a creamy vanilla
Mm-hmm.
smell.
And in the oak, it is different because it's that toasted oak. It's not a bad different. It's just, it's not, you're drinking a whiskey and you're like, oh, I get the oak from it. It that toasted does something different to it when it finishes in the
Like
toasted
vanilla
barrels.
ice cream. Tastes.
Yeah.
It tastes like vanilla ice cream.
I bet
and
this would be
oak.
good on vanilla ice cream.
That's what I was just thinking. With this proof, it would be.
Mm-hmm.
No, it tastes like vanilla ice cream towards the front of your mouth and oak towards the back. I know that's a weird description, but that's what I taste.
Vanilla in the front, oak in
Oak
the back.
in the back. I'm done.
Trying to figure out what else I just got. I just got something else from it too, but I don't know what it was.
There's a little spice there.
Take a drink and then go and tell me what you taste on your breath. Or do you want me to do that in your face and you can tell?
No. I'm not sniffing your breath, Justin.
It's a hard pass. There's something else there that I can't quite put my finger on.
It's a little bit of a charred taste.
Yeah. I don't know. I like this.
It's good. It is good. It's just very strong. And the heat at the back of the throat that is not in my... It's just weird. It's staying there now. I've drank this whole sample, and the heat is just staying at the back of my throat.
I like trying barrel strength whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily... They don't always become a go-to. I have two things I like them for. I think barrel strength... A high-proof whiskey really complements a cigar. Mm-hmm. I like having a strong whiskey with my cigar because if you don't have a strong whiskey, that tobacco and cigar flavor will take over. If you have a strong whiskey, it won't, in my opinion, when you're pairing them. And then mixing. Putting this in the old-fashioned, it really stood out. Just your face is like you're on fire.
No, because my sinuses are clearing now.
Well, that's good. They're good for that too.
This is a medicinal. This is a medicinal whiskey. It is really good.
I bet
I'm
it would
not
be
saying it's
great
not-
in a hot toddy.
Yes,
Yeah.
a hot toddy.
I do like it, though. This has very good flavor.
I made our old fashions very unique, and this overpowered the uniqueness of our old fashioned. Like, not overpowered, like it stood out more.
Yeah.
You can't really. Our old fashioned is good, but I don't know if it's good because I don't think that what I put in our old fashioned is standing out compared to the whiskey.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I get it.
Like, what do you taste in our old fashioned?
Well, my old fashioned is gone. I drank it fairly quick.
You did.
During our pre-meeting discussion.
I still have a little bit left.
Yeah. During our pre-meeting discussion, I drank mine a little fast. So either I need bigger old fashions or I need to pace myself. But
now after trying this neat for the first time, I taste the different flavors in our old fashioned that I put in it.
Okay, gotcha. No, I like it. Mm-hmm. Is it the hype I thought it would be? TBD. Because I need to try it again sometime, I feel like.
I think we also need to get not barrel strength.
No, the barrel strength is what
That's
I had
the hype?
Yes, toasted barrel strength.
That's the hype. I thought, but I still I like to try
But yeah, the toasted,
regular, like their
regular toasted is
90
supposed to be
proof.
very good too.
90 proof and compare it to the 100 proof.
Sure.
We did it the same way with
115 proof.
Burning Chair. We
Yeah.
did the 120 proof first, and then we went to the burning, and then we tried Burning Chair months later at 90 proof, or it's not. It's around 90 proof.
Right.
And I had more appreciation for the higher proof afterwards. At first, the higher proof was just too strong for me.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Ooh, when you let it sit in your mouth, that you get a lot of vanilla. You probably can't let it sit. Am I crazy for? Can you let it sit in your mouth? Is it
gone.
too? It's gone. Here, try a little mine. Let it sit in your mouth. I'm going to do the power of suggestion. Tell me you don't get a little hint of a tobacco leaf. And yes, I said tobacco. Or is that just the charred that my mind is going to tobacco?
It's charred, Justin.
It's charred. Okay.
I told you, charred.
Yeah.
Something charred. Maybe it is. A cigar can be charred.
I don't know. I like this one. I'm excited to try it again. Sometimes with stronger proofs, kind of like you were saying, compare them with their regular proof and go back to them. Mm-hmm. But I do like it. Penelope, if you get a chance to try the barrel strength or the toasted bourbon or the barrel strength toasted bourbon, I highly recommend it. Miranda, you alluded to the old fashioned you made kind of special.
I did.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
I normally on our show don't make our old fashions the same. We should probably start sharing how we make them. Because I like to get artsy in the kitchen, as your dad says.
Artsy fartsy.
Artsy fartsy
Yeah.
in the kitchen.
Yeah, that could be a tweet, or once we have an Insta.
Artsy fartsy?
No. This week's recipe. You could write it
Yeah.
down. We could tweet it. And it could be an Insta thing. And we are going to be going live. That way you could make it right along with us if you wanted to.
I always do the same ratios of everything, but I switched it up.
Ratio.
Ratios.
Ratio is that's a big thing on Twitter. Did you know that? You comment ratio on. I don't even know what it means. But anyways, go on.
Anyway, instead of a sugar cube, I did when we were in Colorado, the beginning of the month, end of June, beginning of the month. While we were in Morrison after our Red Rocks concert, we went to. The next morning, we went to some of the shops in Morrison. Morrison is a really cute town. I've never been in Morrison before. We walked around some of the little shops there, and one place was just a me place. There was like containers of like dried herbs, and when you walk in, they served you like they had tea in this big mason jar dispenser that they brewed like an iced tea, and they sampled it, and we actually ended up buying the tea that they were sampling in the store that day. But they also had a bunch of simple syrups that had herbs in them. And one of the ones we bought, it's Meadowland simple syrup, which I was thinking, okay, it's maybe more local because a lot of the things in there were locally made. But this is actually from Bend, Oregon, which we've been in Bend.
We have.
But it's, pure cane sugar, water. And then there's Meadowsweet, red clover, honeysuckle, and cornflower that is like infused in this simple syrup. But I used that, so kind of an herbal, floral, simple syrup. And then I just did orange bitters today. I wanted the orange. It's Orangegate season. Apparently. We didn't have any oranges today. So I kind of probably put a couple extra dashes of orange bitters than I normally would have.
Even our fridge oranges looked a little sketch.
We do. Well, we have candied oranges. I don't always use them. Oh,
Yeah.
we had dried oranges.
The dehydrated. I thought about that, but it's all good.
I forgot about that. Because if this was so strong, I tasted it. I always taste as I'm making to make sure it's good. I did put a couple drops of Bordeaux cherry juice and a Bordeaux cherry in the Manhattan since we didn't have an orange. I have to have a piece of fruit in my
In your what?
old fashioned.
That-
I said Manhattan.
You did.
Just
That
in
barrel
its
strength
late.
is getting to Miranda. Yeah, no, it's very good. You made a good old fashioned. That simple syrup is good in it, as is the Penelope. Mir, next week we're going to be talking about how to determine who to keep in your keeper leagues, plus some other fantasy football information. Make sure you come back and join us tomorrow, though. Because like Miranda said, we got 10th Mountain Whiskey from Vail, Colorado, on for an interview, a tasting, a review. They have a very interesting story. I'm excited to talk with them. You have anything else?
It'll be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. And as I'm sure you are, that'll be released tomorrow evening. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Make sure you ask us your questions, especially if it involves keepers, since we're talking about that next week. How's your old fashioned over there?
It's gone.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Old-fashioned football.